Good afternoon, everybody. This is Liquid Kenobi here, and today we have an article that came out today. Former Sony executive Chris Deering says video game industry layoffs not the result of corporate greed and suggests laid off employees drive an Uber or go to the beach. Let's see what has been going on with Sony lately, because I will say this before we start reading the article. Sony has been going through it rough. I mean, right now, you've got games that were coming out that were with woke ideology nonsense, like Star Wars, The Outlaws, things that are going on with Assassin's Creed, Red Shadow, and then you had Concord, Dustborn. They're going through a lot. And there was controversy going on with Stellar Blade, controversy going on with Hell Divers, and then Black Myth Wukong, which those three games got successful, but still, Sony is in the middle of it. But right now, let's see what is going on with this. All right, let's get to it. Former Sony executive Chris Deering, who was the president of Sony Entertainment, Computer Entertainment Europe, shared that he does not believe that recent layoffs across various game developers are the result of corporate greed. On top of that, he suggested layoff employees find ways to make ends meet by driving for Uber or going to the beach. In an interview on the My Perfect Console with Simon Parkin podcast, Deering was asked by Parkin, "I'm sure you are aware it's been a tough year for workers in the game industry with around 20,000 layoffs in the last year or so. I think it's fair to say there's a bit of frustration with video game executives at Microsoft, at Sony, whenever they are who have been closing some smaller studios in order to funnel those resources into larger projects. It seems that the sort of prioritizing shareholders over nourishing a creative diverse medium." Parkin continued, "I think you probably have more understanding than most of us about some of the pressures that those decisions makers are under, but I suppose, how would you answer that accusation that some of these individuals are putting greed in front of creativity?" Chris Deering, former boss of PlayStation, does not believe the recent widespread layoffs in the game industry driving from corporate greed and that affected workers should drive an Uber or go to the beach for a year until things turn around. That's from Simon Parkland, who did the article of this. Deering responded, "Well, there's always going to be some greedy people and exploitive people, but there's a passion in the games industry that goes beyond just business and people, and it's as a way of life. And I don't think that the console people in particular are that greedy. Maybe Nintendo was in some ways, but still they had a great relationship with their end users. What happened is you had the pandemic. People are sequestered to their living room or bedroom, and the industry took off in a huge way, and it got oversaturated, and it's going through a deflationary period, just like the consoles did when they were having those long turnaround time, minimum order quantities," he said. Deering then asserted, "It's painful. I don't think it's greed. I think it's just an exuberance that has kindled and fueled by the knock-on effect of the pandemic and the supply chain restrictions that followed. I don't think it's fair to say that the resulting layoffs have been greed." He continued, "I always try to minimize the speed with which we added staff because I always knew there would be a cycle and I didn't want to end up having the same problems that Sony did with electronics. So we never really. Now, of course, there was just a recent big layoff at Sony Studios in London, but that whole studio setup has been run out of Amsterdam now for a few years, and I don't know. If the money isn't coming in from the consumers in the last game, it's going to be hard to justify spending the money for the next game, he noted. I think it's probably very painful for the managers, but I don't think having skill in this area is going to be a lifetime of poverty or limitation. It's still where the action is. It's like the pandemic, but now you're going to have to take a few figure out how to get through it. Drive an Uber or whatever. Go off to find a cheap place to live and go to a beach for a year. But keep up with your news and keep up with it because once you get off the train, it's much harder, Deering advised. But I'm optimistic about the future or for even people that have just recently been laid off. And these things do recover sometimes a lot faster than you might think when all is very precarious. I presume people were paid some kind of a decent severance package, and by the time that runs out, well, that's life. I'd be more worried about the cheap programming hours of AI assisted programming hours from poorer countries which have every right to compete. India, for example, that are doing a lot of the coding for ERPs software, not just game software. So the industry that I always say. What's really exciting about the industry is you never get a chance to be depressed. What you have to do is things jump out in front of you and you deal with them just like in a game. So get over it. Really, really, that's the excitement of the industry. That's blank like this happens. And it's very sad, but it's not going to be forever. You know, come come on, guys, wake up. This is not the first time. Sony shut down its PlayStation Studios London studio and announced reductions at Fire Sprite as well as other organizations across in Sony Interactive Entertainment and Network across the United Kingdom in February. Then Sony Interactive Entertainment President and CEO Jim Ryan explained, "We envision reducing our headcount by about 900 people, that's about 8%, of our current workforce. There will be impact for employees across all Sony Interactive Entertainment regions, Americas, EMEA, Japan, and APAC. Several PlayStation studios are affected. Ryan did confirm that affected employees will receive support, including severance benefits." As for why the layoffs occurred, Ryan explained, "After careful consideration and many leadership discussions over several months, it has become clear changes need to be made to continue to grow the business and develop the company. We had to step back, look at our business holistically, and move forward focusing on the long-term sustainability of the company and delivering the best experiences possible for our community." He added, "The goal is to streamline our resources to ensure our continued success and ability to deliver experiences gamers and creators have come to expect from us." Well, there you have it, man. This is not looking good for Sony, man. This is not looking good at all, man. They are, like I said, man, Sony is going through a lot right now, and it's not looking good for the games that have been coming out. So it may get worse because Assassin's Creed Red Shadow is coming out, and so we're going to see how the results are going to be for the gamers, man. If they're going to like it or they're going to not like it. If it sells or it doesn't sell. Time's going to tell with this, so we shall see. So that's going to be it for the article. So if you like the video, hit the like button. Share this video. Post a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button for me. Alright, guys. Catch you later. Bye.